What is your biggest advice for young entrepreneurs or people who are trying to get into starting a business themselves?
First and foremost, I would say is
Okay, so
yeah.
today I would like to welcome Soumya Gupta to the show. He is a founder of Context, which deals with AI in education and does so much other cool stuff like hosting events in New York City. So I'd love to get started talking about that. So my first question, I usually ask like an icebreaker to my guests. What is kind of your earliest vivid memory of yourself in tech? It could be like your first laptop, your first like kind of thing that got you into tech um
Mm,
childhood memory kind of thing.
Interesting. I think for me, you keep hearing people who, like, I don't know, at the age of 5, they started doing things and tinkering around. And for me, I don't think it was that early. I was pretty basic, like every little young boy, playing
Hmm.
video games, computer games. So I think it was pretty basic. But the first time I got a taste and, I was kind of hooked on to, this world of programming and technology was honestly in my 11th grade,
Yeah.
back in India, that's where I'm from. And, we had a subject called computer science where basically, we were taught basics of the fundamentals of programming. And, the one thing I loved about the class was my teacher. She was so good at teaching the concepts. It was basic. It was a class about, learning C++. plus plus. So it was very basic, now that you think in hindsight. But I think the way my professor she taught that class, I think it was so good, and it
Mhm.
really got me interested and showed that just through programming, through technology, you can solve so many real world problems. And at the end of the day, it's all about problem solving. And I love problem solving. I love building things and problem solving. And I think that's one vivid memory I have, just attending those classes every day of the week, and that got me hooked into programming, computer science, and technology. And that's a, since I'm in the space of education, I kind of now when I look back at the classes that I enjoyed, both in high school, undergrad, and also during my master's, I realized that subjects that you did well were the ones where the professors were like very passionate about it, and and the way they thought about it. Because if
Yeah.
the professor enjoys teaching a subject, you'll automatically start loving it. It's not even the underlying concept. Sometimes I feel it's just the person teaching it, and that makes a difference. And I think that's something that stuck with me even till now.
Wow, yeah. I mean, definitely the teacher makes such a huge impact and it's definitely so underestimated. Yeah, that's a cool memory. So now I kind of wanted to pivot into, of course, you're a founder of Context. So I'd like to get into kind of what exactly does your startup do, the goal and mission of your startup, and kind of
Mhm.
why you started it as well.
Okay. I mean, it was actually my co-founder's idea. So here's the story.
Hmm.
This was February, March of 2024. So a little over a year ago, I was out there in New York City going to different events, trying to, meet other founders because I was like, I'm in the best city in the world. I moved,
Yeah.
just to give you some more backstory, I moved to New York in August 17, 2023. So I'm gonna be 2 years. And I kind of almost wasted my first semester, I would say, just go to classes, party with friends, and I mean, I didn't do much. And I was like, second semester, all right, I'm here in New York City, best city in the world, and I've not done anything. So let's go out there, let's meet people because New York has the greatest density and diversity of people, culture, and industry. So let's use that. So I started going to events, and then when I started going to events is when I really got the push and the motivation to actually start something of my own. Before that, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I was kind of afraid and I never took that leap of faith. But going to these events really pushed me to do that. And through these events, I started exploring ideas because I started surrounding myself around these great people, these great founders, taking the risk and building something cool. So, like they say, you're the average of the 5 people you're around. That's so true. And I realized that. And through an event is where I also met my co-founder, and that's why I love events so much. And
Oh,
I
wow.
started throwing events of my own. So that's secondary. But I met him at an event in NYU. He was pitching a startup. It was like a venture showcase at a college, and I really liked this idea. And it was all about personalizing education. He shared a story of how how he struggled with his studies in high school and how he almost dropped out, and that he really values personalized education, and he truly believes that you can change education with the help of AI and truly personalize it. And I really loved it. And of course, the product and everything was totally different back then. but I genuinely fell in love with the vision and mission. So, we exchanged contacts. I hit him up over email. I was like, hey, let's work together. I would just love to help you out. And, we worked together for a couple of months. We, of course, didn't commit, because like I say, you don't marry on the first date. So we just want to see
Mhm.
how it goes, how we work together. And we enjoyed working together. We kind of had the same mission and vision, and we started working on it. So Context, as it is right now, is an AI-powered learning platform where professors can convert their knowledge into courses. And since we have data on each learner, we can personalize learning for them. So what I
Oh,
mean by that is any professor can come to a platform, say what course they want to teach, upload any materials that they have. It can be books, articles, any kind of papers they've published, and we take all the materials, ingest it, and then our AI model would generate the entire course structure and content. And since we have data on each learner, we try to understand their learning goals, needs, and preferences. We are able to personalize learning for them. So in a way, we are able to help both educators and students because I firmly believe that to truly transform education, you need to help or empower both educators and students, and that's what we're trying to do. And yeah, I've been building it for the past 1 year properly full time, and it's been
mhm.
a humbling and a great experience.
Wow. I mean, that's fascinating. You've come a long way from the beginning of the story to now, like having built this for over a year. I mean, given all of this experience in the entrepreneurship space, what is your biggest advice for young entrepreneurs or people who are trying to get into starting a business themselves?
Good question. So many. I think first and foremost, I would say is just start. It's a very basic advice, to just
Yeah.
get started. But the amount of people who don't, and I've seen it here. I graduated from NYU 3 months ago, and
Yeah.
I've met so many talented people here. I get imposter syndrome every day. Just seeing these really talented kids around me, and from where they've come, and I'm like, what am I even doing here? Do I even deserve to be here? But then I see that they have so much talent, but they're not using this wonderful time that they have to actually build something of their own. They do have ideas in their head. They do say that, maybe someday they want to do it in the future, once they're settled, once they have, I know, have their finances resolved and everything, which is fair enough. But I believe college is such a wonderful time to build. I believe it's the best time to build uh, because, you have time in your hands. You have network of both, your alumni, your current peers, your professors. You can meet your potential co-founders. You can meet, your potential customers, everything. Like the opportunities are endless and you have time and you have, how do I put it? I think you have lesser responsibilities on you. If you compare yourself to a 35-year-old, of course, you have way less responsibilities. So I think it's such a wonderful time to build, but people are not building. At least here, what I've seen in the New York City college ecosystem. And I feel that's one of the things that I want to change in the New York City college ecosystem because when I compare us with the Bay Area college ecosystem, I think it's totally different.
Hmm.
There, I think it's a norm that everyone is building something of their own, which here it isn't. So I want to change that. So
Yeah.
coming back to your question, I think first and foremost, just get started, man. Take that leap of faith. People like they try to plan it out. Okay, let me have this plan, then let me have a backup plan. Let me have a backup plan from backup plan. It's not gonna work.
Yeah.
Whatever plans you have, it's not gonna work. It's you're gonna change. Startups all about change and pivoting. I know what's that Mike Tyson saying? Everybody has a plan until they're punched in the face. That's so true. And startups punch you the
Yeah.
hardest. So um, you need to you need to be ready to just take the leap of faith and then figure out as you go along and because I believe that as you keep going is when the path seems even more clear as you keep
Hmm.
traveling. But if you're just there at that place thinking, okay, maybe I'll do it someday, it's never going to happen. So I think, yeah, first and foremost, I know I've rambled on for so long, but just get
Hmm.
started, please. The amount of times I've told people that just get started. And second, make friends who are in your journey, along the same, who are a few steps ahead of you and who are also along the same path. And because I think community is so important. That's one thing I realized, especially as an international student, how important it is to make friends here in the city, across different, industries and cultures. So, take that leap of faith, just start, build a community, try to make friends with people who are along your path and always be ready to pivot. Like, don't, fall in love with your idea. Don't fall in love with your solution. Just care about more about the problem that you're solving or for whom you're solving and listen to your customers. Because I did that. Our initial MVP failed so badly because we were like, this is going to work. This is it. This is what people are asking for. But actually, they weren't asking for it. And we just over-engineered it and overbuilt it. But then I realized, no,
Hmm.
you should listen to your customers and pivot as soon as you can if you see those signals. So yeah, I think these are some advices I would give to young entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I mean that was massively like good quality advice, especially your last point there about not focusing too much on the idea. I feel like a lot of us fall victim to that and think, oh, like first of all, the first tip, oh, someday I'm gonna start a startup and this is the exact idea that I'm going to do and just only stick with this. It's interesting that you say like stick with the problem rather than the solution. But yeah, I want to quickly pivot again because you actually did mention, I didn't know about this, but you mentioned that you start events around New York City, kind of going back to your point about making friends and actually like networking and interacting with people. Um, yeah, I'm curious, like what exactly are these events? What inspired you to start them?
Mm. I think for me, what inspired for me to start them is because, like I was mentioning earlier, events changed my life in a way. It made me it made me pursue entrepreneurship. It
Mhm.
helped me find my co-founder. It helped me find and make a lot of new friends. I was
Yeah.
new to the city. Of course, I had people in NYU itself,
Hmm.
people from India who came, and I had a lot of friends there. But then, of course, making friends here, especially with that founder's mindset of people, who are as obsessed with you, who are in the startup space, I think that's a whole different thing. So events kind of changed my life, and I genuinely enjoyed going to events and meeting new people. I'm extroverted, so I love meeting new people every day and making friends. So it really changed my life. And I thought, why? I should also start throwing events. And my focus initially, my first 2 to 3 events were only for NYU students. And the reason I started was because, like I was mentioning, the New York City college students, they're smart, they're talented, they have
Hmm.
everything, but the mindset is not there. The mindset to build is not. Is kind of the exception, not the rule, which I want to change. I want to make everyone here build something of their own. Like, you have any idea, just pursue it. It's fine. You fail, it's okay. You'll learn. You'll come up with better ideas. You'll solve a better problem. You'll solve a bigger problem. But just get started. So, uh, to change that mentality is why I started throwing events. Because what I saw when I started my own company and I started posting about it on LinkedIn, I've been pretty active on LinkedIn. I've been sharing my story. Kids from India who didn't even come to the US. They were asking, dude, how can I start a company here? You just start something of your own. I want to do that. I want to start it as soon as I come. I was like, wait, just me, one person posting on LinkedIn is like inspiring few people to start a company after coming here. What if there's a community to do that? So that's why I started throwing these events specifically for NYU students. And then
Hmm.
I kind of started branching out because I had a lot more friends in the startup ecosystem here in the city in general, and I started throwing events for like everyone in the startup ecosystem, founders and investors. And I haven't looked back, especially start of this year. I had one of my co-hosts, he's a good friend, his name is Ishan. He came to me and he was like, dude, let's start throwing events together. Let's be more consistent. Let's do it once a week. And now I've hosted like in the last 7 months around 40 events. I have more
Wow.
events coming up. So I'm kind of excited. And one of the reasons I'm doing it is, and I'm the reasons I've continued doing it is because I believe New York can be the biggest startup ecosystem in the world. And there are 4 key missing pieces, and one of them is a tight-knit community. Because I believe what makes SF is, although it's very monoculture, and people criticize SF for having a very tech and very just tech focus and being a monoculture and being banal
Mm.
or whatever you want to call it. But I feel that's also their strength because it's such a closed and tight-knit community that helps the ecosystem because that's how, unless you don't have a like friendship. I think friendship is the basis of everything, honestly. You're not going to start a company with some stranger. You're going to start it with people you've either worked with or you've been friends with at college. You're not going to invest in someone, especially at the early stage. If you're writing angel checks, you're not going to give it away to a stranger. You're going to give it to someone whom you've seen, who has a track record of excellence, right? And all this comes under the tight-knit community, which kind of is missing in New York. Although you have so many events happening, it's a city of 8 million, so it's very fragmented. And that's what I'm trying to bring together with these events. I know this one person is not enough. There are other people also doing it. And I believe, me and then other people together, we can help grow the startup ecosystem here. And that's why, long story short, I've been throwing these events.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys are in New York City, then come to his events. Like, what are you doing?
Oh,
But
yes.
yeah, but Are your events focused for founders specifically and like tech and that kind of stuff? Or is it just, an academic like NYU event?
I know when I was just this college student, not a founder, and going to these events, that's what kind of changed my mind, or at least pushed me to become an entrepreneur. So I know that if these students come to my events and meet other founders doing something cool, that will also inspire them to build something of their own. So it's open to all, but the focus everyone knows is like it's for the startup ecosystem here. It's for the founder community here. It's for growing it and helping each other out. I since I've hosted so many events up until this point, now I know a lot of people. So I'm kind of able to be a power connector. I'm able to connect people. I'm like, oh, you should meet him or you should meet her. I now try to facilitate those introductions, help as much as I can, give investor intros if I can, and that's what I've been trying to do.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of like this concept of building apps around hosting events too. I'm not sure if you've seen this, but there are these apps where you can fill out questionnaires and get like matched with people, like founder events,
Mm.
stuff like that, which could be incredibly interesting, obviously. So I know there's also a lot of other things that you do. I'd like to explore those as well. So like what specific experiences at NYU proved useful to your entrepreneurship career? Or maybe it was more the networking aspect. I don't know.
I think there was one aspect of it, which I'll come to a little later. But yeah, in general, I think what made me jump into entrepreneurship was just going to the events, going to a lot of events in New York City.
Mhm.
And NYU was great in general for me, you have mix of good professors, a lot of cool students. So I made a lot of friends, had fun, generally. You have, and like I was mentioning, NYU is so diverse. You have so many different schools, so many different disciplines. You just meet so many cool people, so many different people, and it's truly a great experience, especially for someone like me who's come from Chennai, back in India. And when I compare that with what I got here, it's totally different. And I genuinely enjoyed my time here. I think one aspect that did help in my entrepreneurial journey was, I don't know if I mentioned, but last summer we got into an accelerator program at our college. It's called the NYU Summer Launchpad. It's by the NYU Entrepreneur
Oh, yeah.
Institute, and they basically help these early stage founders, student founders, honestly, first time student founders, how to start a company, teach about the basics of startup, help you connect with different people, different mentors. And it's like a proper accelerator program, kind of like
Wow.
how you have Techstars, YC, but of course, it's more of a
Hmm.
pre-accelerator, right?
Oh, okay.
And it's really a great learning experience. So I think NYU has these kind of resources that helps entrepreneurs, which honestly not many people are also using it. So I keep telling people, and I keep, as I meet people, I tell them, oh, by the way, there's this entrepreneur institute. They help student founders. You should try it out. You should look at them. You should go talk to them. And because I feel not just NYU, but every college has all these kind of resources. Just that students are not aware or not looking at it or looking
Hmm.
for it, and they should. So NYU's Entrepreneur Institute, which is also called the Leslie Lab, they definitely did help, especially for me and my co-founder. Both we are like first time founders, so as first time founders who have no idea how to navigate this uncertain path of entrepreneurship, I think that was really helpful. So I think that's one aspect I'm really grateful for.
I think my biggest takeaway from this entire conversation is just literally just taking advantage of the opportunities you have in your hands. And I think especially at NYU, as you said, there's so many events, the accelerator program, so many cool things that really shape and help improve this. So I don't want to take too much of your time, but just as kind of a finishing like last question, I guess, do you have any last thoughts about either entrepreneurship, AI, and education that I guess you want to leave the audience with?
I think in general of what's happening as of today, people are so scared. Some people are excited, some people are scared of what's gonna happen with the world, with how AI is has just grown exponentially, especially in the last 2 years now. People, many people are actually scared, and I'm in general a very optimistic person. And
Mhm.
this wave that we have, I think it's the biggest wave. It's way bigger than internet. It's completely going to transform the way we live, the way we work, and it's going to transform every industry possible. And I feel we should look at it from a positive standpoint. The world is going to be a better place. I always believe that we as humans, we adapt. We know how to adapt. We are Homo sapiens. Our species has been the most dominant one across history of this world, honestly. So
Mhm.
um, and we humans have always learned to adapt, and I think with AI also, we just need to learn to adapt how to use AI, how to integrate, AI into our workflows. And as and when these models keep becoming better, and I know someday we reach AGI, ASI, all these fancy jargons being thrown at us, and even if we reach those, what Sam Altman calls it, singularity, even if we ever reach singularity, humans will never cease to exist. I'm very confident in that because we know how to adapt, and it's just that it's always the survival of the fittest. So you always have to make sure that you keep becoming better, keep learning new skills, and keep taking risks. Because at the end of the day, if you're not taking risk, that's the biggest risk you can ever take in life, of not taking risks. So just keep taking risks, keep trying new things, and definitely, I'm biased towards entrepreneurship. So definitely try building something of your own. It's just such a great learning experience. The younger you are, the better it is. Just venture into something. You'll eventually learn, and yeah, never stop learning, never stop taking risks. And you need not have everything figured out. I still don't. I never did. But I know as I go along the way, I'll figure things out. So I think, yeah, that's what I'm gonna leave the audience with.
Yeah, I mean, that's perfect. That's such an optimistic view of, overcoming the fear of failure and just taking the risks and starting. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. I really
Thank
appreciate it.
you.